Cancel your brunch reservations and get back in your pajamas. We're having steak, eggs, and pâté served on a plate so hot, you literally have to dodge the sizzle. This is Baguette. Trust me, you're not going to be missing that avocado toast. That is so good. This is Vietnamese steak and eggs, our version of a breakfast of champions. And I'm gonna show you how to make it in under 15 minutes. This is probably all my favorite things together on one pan. And it's the perfect excuse to eat fresh bread. The first thing we're gonna have to do is slice our beef. And today, I'm using ribeye. You can also use flank steak. No matter what cut of beef you use, it's important that you cut against the grain so that when you bite into it, it's tender and easy to eat. So when looking at your piece of meat, figure out which way the grain is running, and you're gonna wanna slice against that. Try to get the slices as thin as possible. I like to use ribeye because there's a high fat content so that I don't have to worry about the meat coming off too chewy or rubbery. Another quick tip is to throw your meat into the freezer just 30 minutes before cutting so that it firms up a little bit, and it'll make it really easy for you to cut thinly. I've seen some other baguette recipes that cube the beef, and personally, I've never seen it cubed. When I eat it in Vietnam, it's typically served with thin beef slices. And the reason for that is because you want to be able to wrap up pieces of meat, eggs, and pâté all together in one bite in the bread, and cubes are just inconvenient and it wouldn't make a nice satisfying bite. Cubes of beef would take really long to cook through, right? And when you have it cooking together with the eggs, the timing of everything is very, very important. So one component could be done quicker than the other. Then beef slices will ensure an even cook time. Okay, so there we have it. Really thin and bite-sized pieces that's going to soak up the marinade really, really easily and cook really nicely and evenly. So the next thing we're gonna do now is marinate the beef. And we're not gonna marinate it too heavily because there's gonna be a very special sauce that's poured into the pan at the end. So let's just lightly marinate it with a little bit of oyster sauce, pepper, and sesame oil. Let's add a little bit of garlic to the beef as well. To get a really nice color on this, let's put a tiny bit of dark soy sauce too. Okay, so let's leave that aside to marinate for about 30 minutes. So there's really not much to the cooking process here. So I'm gonna just spend some time talking to you about the things that we're gonna be dropping into the pan really quickly later. And we have a beautiful assortment of cocktail tomatoes, some white onions, green onions, cucumber, and cilantro. Vietnamese food is always very balanced. And so while the Western steak and eggs is literally just a piece of steak and eggs, the Vietnamese version has veggies, has crunch, sweet, salty, herby freshness. I'm using a little bit of pâté today. You can find this in the cheese section. Traditionally, this dish is made with Vietnamese pâté, which is the one that's found in the various bánh mì sandwiches. It's pretty similar to this, so if you can get your hands on the Vietnamese one, great. If not, this one should do as well. I'm using Vietnam's most loved cheese, La Vache qui rit. Are you even Vietnamese if you didn't live off of this when you were growing up? I had no other concept of cheese other than this. And this is literally the cow head that all the pho restaurants rip off too. So trademarks ain't a thing. Of course, we need our eggs, a lot of butter, and of course, we gotta have some crusty bread. You may be surprised to see all the dairy products, butter, cheese, and pâté used in this dish, but this is very much a byproduct of colonization. Probably one of the best things to come out of colonization. Okay, so when we start cooking, everything's gonna happen super quickly. So I'm just trying to see what kind of prep I can do before we turn the stove on. I'm gonna crack the eggs first because I think I have to get everything perfect in one take. So crack your egg on a flat surface. Oh my God, see? It's always the simplest things that mess me up. So actually, while we're waiting for our meat to marinate, let's make our sauce. So for this sauce, I'm gonna be using 3 parts soy sauce, 1 part tomato ketchup, and 1 part sriracha, and a tiny bit of sugar, and a lot of black pepper as well. There's nothing like steak and black peppers. It's just an amazing pair. So now that everything's prepped, come over to the stove and get yourself a cast iron pan. If you don't have one, you can use any pan, but cast iron is gonna retain heat the most and it's gonna give you the best results. And this is traditionally how it's served as well. It's actually usually served in this really cute cast iron cow-shaped pan, which I've been like scouring the internet to find. This will have to do, but that would make it even more legit. So when the pan gets hot, start to layer all the ingredients in one by one. The most important part is going to be watching the meat to ensure that it doesn't overcook, okay? So if you're eating this breakfast dish in Vietnam and you're literally finding yourself ducking for cover, you're doing it right. That's why we call it bò nè. The name actually translates to dodging beef because when that cast iron cow hits the table, the butter and oil is splattering like crazy. Trust me, I've sacrificed many shirts to this culinary experience. So this dish actually came from a town called Phan Thiet, which was a coastal city that was a major stop on the Trans-Indochina Railway, connecting Saigon to the north. This made it a perfect rest stop for French travelers and soldiers. Local cooks started making them Western-style breakfasts, things like steak frites, pâté, and baguettes, and soon took these same ingredients and totally flipped the script. They moved it from a quiet ceramic plate to a screaming hot iron pan and added that signature Vietnamese soul. These days, depending on where you are in Vietnam, the name changes. In Saigon, it's bò nè, but up in the central region in Hanoi, you'll hear Bánh Mì Chảo, which literally means bread in a pan. You'll also see it called bò bít tết, which is just our way of saying beefsteak. But honestly, whatever you call it, the ritual is the same. Rip off a piece of that crispy bread, mop up the egg yolk and the pâté, and try not to get hit by the grease. It's chaotic, it's buttery, and it's the best way to start your day. That is so good. Oh my God. I think this is one of my favorite things that I've made so far. I know I say that about everything, but just look how beautiful this is. It's so vibrant, it's so colorful, and it only took us 15 minutes to make. So simple, yet delicious. The beef is perfectly cooked. The egg still has a runny yolk. And if you've never tried seared pâté before, it's another experience. It's so good. Let me try it with some bread. So how you eat this is you tear off a piece of bread, dip it into the yolk, sop up all this beautiful sauce that we made, grab a bit of pâté, grab yourself a bit of beef, and go to town. It's so good. It's so rich. I wish I had a beard to cut through this. And I wish someone else made me this dish too, because I saw how much butter went in here. Now I'm a bit scared. I have to go for a walk after, but honestly, it's worth it. This is such a perfect balance of everything you need. Vegetables, eggs, meat, high protein, breakfast of champions. Guys, Vietnamese steak and eggs. Give it a try. See you next time.